or the assistant manager, should the rep and the appointed alternate not be available. Does everybody understand that? Do we need to have some discussion on that? So the way we would do it is if you can't make it, contact the alternate. And if the alternate cannot also make it, then we'll be set up for anybody else to attend, including the manager and the assistant manager. Okay, I see your heads nodding. Okay.
Got it.
So do I have a motion to accept NB 1A, the COG committee assignments, as it presented in the agenda?
So moved.
All right, how about a second?
Second?
All right, Susan, thank you. Any discussion needed? Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to back out at the last minute? Besides Rich? All right, all in favor of NB 1A as presented in the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, same thing for our regional assignments. The 5 that are listed in the agenda item. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the assignments as noted in NB 1B. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, I got a motion from Dustin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Tracy. Any discussion? Anybody need any clarification? All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to our last action item, NB1C. This is where we're retaining our same PSATS voting delegates and our same PML voting delegates from 2024. Susan as the PSATS delegate and Rich as our PML delegate. The chair at this point will accept the motion to accept the assignments under NB1C as presented.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dustin. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of NB1C as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that takes care of our 3 action items, and all that's left then is for the manager to follow up with COG, let them know what our COG assignments are. And that takes us to the only remaining portion of the agenda on our, at least on our reorg meeting, and that's our very lengthy consent agenda. And I need to read this for the record, so bear with me. And then after I'm done reading, I'll accept the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, or as normally pull any of the consent agenda items for discussion. The first one is CA1, the appointment of College Township Committee alternates with full force vote as needed. That's what we talked about under the action items. CA2 is the appointment of Louis T. Glantz of Glantz & Johnson as the College Township Solicitor for 2025. CA3 is the 2025 auditing services. This is to appoint Fiore, Fideli, Snyder, and Carruthers as our auditors for 2025. CA4 is the reappointment of all current College Township staff members to their current positions and the additional appointments of the following for 2025. This is CA4 will appoint Adam Broombaugh for 5 positions here. The first being the Township Manager Secretary, the second our Right to Know Officer, the third our Tax Collector Committee Delegate, the fourth our Privacy Official, and the fifth our Security Officer. Under CA4, we'll also appoint Donald M. Franson for two appointments, the Local Traffic Advisory Committee Rep and our CCMPO Technical Committee Rep through 2026. So that would be a 2-year appointment. And then to appoint Kim Petashnik. Kim, how did I do that? Petitionok. Okay, I'm sorry. That's terrible. I should know that. 2 positions there, interim township treasurer and our tax collection committee first alternate. then Amy Kerner to the Local Traffic Advisory Committee, Jared Northridge to the Local Traffic Advisory Committee, and then Katie Van Amberg to 3 positions, the Assistant Township Secretary, the Tax Collection Committee, second alternate, and the Assistant Right to Know Officer. Under CA5, this appointment of our of 3 different firms as our traffic and consulting engineer. The first is CA5A, Trans Associates, as a College Township traffic engineer. CA5B is McCormick Taylor as the alternate College Township traffic engineer, and CA5C, Keller Engineering, as College Township's consulting engineers. CA6 is the disposition of records, Resolution R-25-01. CA7 is the appointment of sewage enforcement officers for 2025. The primary sewage enforcement officer will be Walt Snyder, and then there will be 5 secondary sewage enforcement officers appointed, the first being Corey Warner, the second being James Royer, the third being Robert Royer, the fourth being Brian Roan, and the fifth being Jonathan Long. CA8 is our authorities, boards, and commission appointments and reappointments. The first is the appointment to our Industrial Development Authority of Katie Colby. CA8, the second is the appointment of Carla Stilson to our Local Traffic Advisory Committee, and Stephen Spoonover to a Mountain Indian Conservancy Liaison. Robert Hoffman to the Planning Commission, Jane Reck as our SCLO Regional Library Board Rep, Lee Murphy to the Spring Creek Watershed Commission as the Spring Creek Watershed Commission alternate, Deborah Hines and Earl Moore to the Thompson Woods Preserve Governance Committee, Dave Wasson to the Vacancy Board, 2 members to the College Township Water Authority, 1 member to the College Township Water Authority, Richard Harris, and lastly, George Corey to the Zoning Hearing Board. CA9 is the appointment of the following 3 financial institutions as depositories for College Township funds for calendar year 2025. First National Bank of Pennsylvania, PA Local Government Investment Trust, and third, Jersey Shore State Bank. CA10 is the setting of the mileage reimbursement rate at the federal IRS rate, which I believe is up to 70 cents a mile now in 2025. Okay. CA11, College Township rates, fees, and penalty schedule, the amendment of in 5 areas. The first being Resolution R-24-02, Building and Construction, Property Maintenance, and Fire Code permits. CA11B is Resolution R-24-03, signs. The third is CA11C, Resolution R-24-04, solid waste collection. The fourth is CA11D, Resolution R-24-04, zoning. And lastly, CA11E, Resolution R-24-06, food establishment fees and penalties. And then the last item in the consent agenda is CA12, the 2025 wage ranges after COLA adjustment. And so those are all the items included in this meeting's consent agenda. Would anyone like any of those pulled for further discussion, or does anyone have any quick questions on any of those before we accept the motion on all or part of it?
Mr. Chair, just one note of order. Under CA11, my apologies, there's a typo there. Those are all Resolution 25 as opposed to 24. Just missed that in the amendment to the agenda.
Okay. Did you catch that? Aside from that clarification, does anyone else need any further clarification, or would you like any items pulled for discussion? Okay, not hearing none, then with the revisions noted by the assistant manager to CA11, and that is that the 5 items, their resolution numbers be corrected to 25 replacing 24, correct?
Correct.
With that revision, the chair will enter a motion or entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Tracy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion needed? Hearing none, then all in favor of approving the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Consent agenda and appointments therein accepted and adopted by action. And that concludes the reorg meeting, our 2025 reorganizational meeting.
Mr. Chair, move to close the reorganizational meeting.
I have a motion to close. I don't need a second, but I'll take one.
I'll second.
All right, all right. Well, to close the meeting, I suppose I need one. It's to adjourn. All right, all in favor of adjourning the meeting, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, and no one's allowed to say nay. So we're adjourned, and with that, I will open the Monday, January 6, 2025, regular College Township meeting. First item on the agenda is public open discussion. I don't see any public online. I don't see any public in the room. Do we have anything by council members be brought before council as open discussion? Seeing heads shaking no online, looking here, nothing. All right, that concludes public open discussion. That takes us to new agenda items. Anyone online, any council member online like to request a new agenda item for this meeting? No? Rich, anything? All right, that concludes new agenda items. That takes us to reports. First item on the agenda is manager's update. Do we have anything?
Nothing since December 30th, our last regular meeting,
Okay.
special meeting.
Second item under reports is, actually, let me back up. Questions for the manager on anything that might be related to our monthly or manager's report? Okay. COG regional, county, and liaison reports. Pretty sure we didn't have any COG meetings since our last meeting. Anything from the county? Anything from anybody to report since the last meeting? Outstanding. All right, how about staff and other committee reports? We just kind of covered that. No? All right, how about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging reports?
I would just note before our next meeting, January 15th, is the Martin Luther King Jr. Banquet 50th Annual at the Bryce Jordan Center. I know we have, I believe, 3 attendees, or at least 3 seats reserved for that. Otherwise, I'll reserve my complete report for the next meeting on the 16th.
All right, thank you. Now that concludes reports. That takes us to consent agenda. The regular meeting consent agenda has, has 4 sets of meeting minutes. 2 from the December 9th, 2024 meeting, the regular meeting and the public hearing, and then 2 more from the December 30th meeting. Again, the special, the public hearing, and then the special meeting we had, special regular meeting we had on December 30th. So 4 sets of minutes in CA1. We have no correspondence under CA2, and we have 1 action item under CA3, the safety waiver, Mount Nittany Elementary School project. Anyone like to pull any of these items for discussion? I'm seeing no's online. Anybody in the room? Rich? All right, how about a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Dustin. Any discussion? All in favor of accepting a consent agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Consent agenda accepted. That moves us to old business. We have 1 item under old business, OB1. This is a potential discussion or a potential action item, solar power purchase agreement. The action is that we could potentially adopt resolution R-25-06. You got the 25 on that one. But before I consider a motion, I give Mike the opportunity as our representative on the working group to offer up any comments.
Sure. So this is obviously is a follow-up discussion from your last discussion on this, which dates back to November 21st, I believe. Just a couple quick updates. The working group does continue to consist of 10 members, but those members have shifted a little bit. Harris Township has opted to return as a member of the Solar Power Group, but Center Hall Potter Sewer Authority has withdrawn. What I will note in the memo there under this agenda item is a number of entities have passed the PPA resolution, those being the school district, the State College Borough Water Authority, State College Borough, Center County Government, Harris Township, and Patton Township. As you'll recall, at our last discussion, it was in College Township's best interest to wait until what I called the Big Four made their decisions, and at this point, the Big Four being the school district, the water authority, the borough, and Center County have made their decisions. So we're at that point of discussion. At your meeting, you did ask for review by our solicitor. Included in the agenda packet is a review letter from Mr. Glantz. I will also point your attention to OB1D, which is an amended cost-sharing agreement, which is dated 12/19 of '24. That's reflective of the changes in the group to that point. I will note that as more groups continue to make their decisions, that there is the potential for this to continue to evolve a little bit. And then the last piece of the equation for OB1E is Resolution R2507, authorizing College Township's entry into the PPA and granting the College Township manager authority to execute the final contract documents and any associated agreements. As you pointed out earlier, Mr. Chair, if council is comfortable, the requested action would be a motion to approve the resolution, and we've provided a potential motion after council's discussion.
Okay, before I consider a motion, any questions for Mike on what he just talked about? Or anything that's in the packet under new business, NB1? Oh, I'm sorry, old business, OB1? Anybody? Rich, any questions?
Just, thank you for the solicitor's letter and everything. I'm assuming some of the majority of these are standard across all the partners and everything, so individual negotiation of them. I mean, the biggest one is the Eastern District versus the Middle District. The rest of it, I think we've all been briefed on through the course of this journey.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so as Mike noted, really, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only two big changes since the last time we brought this up was the review by our solicitor. And that several other entities, including the ones we refer to as the Big Four, have already taken action.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and then of course that change with Center Hall Potter and Harris basically flipping their positions. Yeah, those are the biggest changes. And like I said, the cost sharing agreement that's included reflects that. But again, as more entities look at this, that may evolve a little bit. So.
right, so if this group here is comfortable enough with the resolution as written, given the potential, I call them minor variables still in play, if that's the case, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt resolution R-25-07 as presented. We can discuss it further if we get the motion on the floor. Anyone?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to approve resolution R-25-07, authorizing College Township's entry into the power purchase agreement and granting the township manager the authority to execute the final contracts and all associated documents.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second by Tracy. Now, any further discussion? Questions on the motion, on the resolution we're adopting? No? Okay. All in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution as presented signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Excellent. Motion adopted. I can cross us off the list, right?
We get an asterisk.
Yeah, a little asterisk.
I know this agenda item is over, but maybe just a question, a little bit of clarification. Last time around, we talked about working group versus, what was the other group, the subgroup?
Project management team.
Project management team. Just for the record, Mike will continue on as our representative on the working group, although most of the heavy lifting theoretically is over now.
Yeah, at this point, as as we near completion of this discussion, the working group kind of shifts into more of a maintenance aspect. We continue to monitor and work with the consultant over the course of the life of the agreements and getting them all executed. But yeah, the heavy lift for the working group is pretty much completed at this point.
Okay. All right, well, that concludes OB1, which was our only old business item on the agenda, and that takes us to new business, of which we have two. And they are both appointments to new township committees for 2025. The first of which is NB1. Well, it's a lot of syllables.
Sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial. We gotta get that down, because we got a year of sesquicentennial.
It's a whole year. It's a
Okay.
whole year. So without further ado,
Yeah, go ahead.
College Township is celebrating its sesquicentennial, its 150th anniversary year in 2025, and as such, previous action by council has created a committee to work in developing various events and benchmarks in order to recognize the 150th year of College Township's existence. And one of the things that is needed in terms of representation on that committee is a College Township Council member to act as a liaison and a participant in the committee. The committee is about, at the moment, 8 or 9 folks that have indicated an interest in participating. I would expect that committee will expand somewhat over the course of the year, and of course I think that there will be certain individuals from the College Township community that will be brought on a kind of an ad hoc as needed basis to help in coordinating various events and or activities that may occur. But essentially we're looking to consolidate a solid working group through this committee, and we do need a council representative to participate. So the question in front of council this afternoon is who among members of council would be interested in serving on that committee. I can tell you that we do have a committee meeting that is scheduled for Monday, the 13th of January at 5 o'clock. It will be a potential Zoom meeting as well, so folks can attend remotely. And that will essentially constitute the real first meeting of this core group, would be Monday the 13th. So that's all the information that I have at this point.
Okay, this is a discussion and potential action, hopefully action item. I know in my conversations with other council members that Dustin has expressed an interest in serving on this committee. So Dustin, if you haven't changed your mind since that, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
And since Rich decided to take so many more other committees, I'm even more firm on this one.
Well, there was an effort to balance out the work investment. So
Yeah.
if there are no other last-minute volunteers, the chair will entertain a motion to appoint Dustin as our
Council liaison.
Council
I
liaison.
also had an interest in that as well,
Okay.
so,
We can take
putting
two.
that out there.
We can take 2?
We can take 2,
Yeah.
yeah. As long as there's no more than 3 that represent
3 or
on
more.
a
All right.
committee, we're certainly capable of doing that.
The chair, go
His
ahead.
lunch plans, that's his lunch plans.
I did. Sorry. All right, then the chair will entertain a motion to appoint both Dustin and Tracy to the, Adam, help me out,
The Sesquicentennial Committee.
Sesquicentennial Committee.
As council liaison.
As
As,
Mr.
Chairman,
yes,
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint Dustin Best and Tracy Mariner as council representatives to the Sesquicentennial Planning Committee.
Oh, now she's showing off.
I practiced, I've been practicing.
very good. I'll have a second. Do I have a second to that motion?
I will second that.
And we have a second here in the room by Rich. Any further discussion? Anybody else? Are you a voting?
Yeah, Thanks, guys, for the nomination. The first task for us, Tracy, is to learn how to spell that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right, so any reference to that committee in future College Township meetings will be made verbally by the council liaisons. All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. We have our 2 members appointed to that committee.
Military guy, you come up with an acronym.
Yes, I should. I'll work on that.
It's SPCA.
That concludes new business item NB1. That takes us to our second College Township Council committee appointment, and that is to appoint 2 members to the Local Impact Report Evaluation Committee. Well, that could be the LIRE. I don't like the way that sounds.
Work on it.
All right, and I did solicit for volunteers prior to the meeting. Susan has expressed interest in that. I can fill in as the second member if someone else does not want to do that. But before we have any discussion, Mike, maybe just a little bit of background on what's involved in this process?
Sure. So, as you recall, we have developed a rather extensive request for qualifications, seeking a consultant or a consultant team to assist with the development of a local impact report to evaluate the potential impacts of the new Category 4 casino at the Nittany Mall. This committee was put together and constituted of 5 individuals, 2 council members, and 3 staff, 3 staff being the manager, assistant manager, and principal planner, to evaluate any responses that we received to that request for qualifications. As reported at earlier meetings, so far we've had quite an extensive list of consultants expressing some interest. So I think this will be some extensive reading for members of this committee, as well as sitting in on interviews of finalists to kind of narrow the list down for a recommendation ultimately that will come back to council at some later date to recommend and approve a consultant to perform this work for College Township, with the hope that they would complete their work here by sometime in the 4th quarter of 2025. And be able to provide us some good information related to the potential impacts from the casino.
Okay, so the work of the committee members would pretty much be wrapped up once they reach a recommendation stage.
Correct. So at this point, the responses to the RFQ are due on January 24th. And shortly thereafter, each member would be provided with the packet of however many responses we receive, some guidance in terms of the evaluation, which was included in the RFQ itself, and then would probably constitute a couple meetings of this group to narrow down that list to selection of finalists to bring in for interviews. Interviews, much like we did with the selection of DPZ for form-based code development, would probably be done in one day and require a presentation. And then the committee itself would then formulate a recommendation on a preferred consultant that would come back before council for your blessing.
Okay, having heard that, does anyone else have interest in serving with Susan on that committee? I've noted that I'm able to and willing, should someone else not want to take advantage of the opportunity. I should mention that in reading, the reading could be very extensive, and the expectation is that you will score the presentations using the criteria that we identified in the RFQs.
Yep.
The only caveat I want to share with the council, just to be clear, I do have some scheduling limitations as far as meeting times, just because of my work outside council. I don't see that as a large barrier, but it could potentially create some conflict in terms of getting things scheduled more quickly.
Okay, on that, good point. Having been through this before, I think a lot of the work will be done individually, independently, until we reach the interview process, right?
Right. In terms of a meeting, there may be something of a kickoff. We can do that in this format too. We can do Zoom meetings to do that kickoff to help with scheduling. And then once the reviews are complete, I kind of envision it as those will be funneled back to probably me to evaluate to see if there's any consistency with those scores. If there's not, then I think it would constitute another meeting to kind of hash out who our finalists would be. So yet to be determined, but I'm thinking maybe 2 meetings.
And then the interviews,
And then the interviews, yes.
which I think will be easy enough to work around your schedule.
Great, thanks.
I appreciate you stepping up. This is not it's a heavy lift. Okay, anyone else? Did we scare everybody else away on that? Yeah, all right. Then I'm happy to fill in as the second, so I've been down this road before. With that, then, the chair will entertain a motion to appoint Susan and myself as the council reps on the Local Impact Report Evaluation Committee.
So
Mr.
moved.
Chair, I move to have Susan Trainer and Eric Vernier as the council representatives for the Local Impact Report Evaluation Committee appointment.
Excellent, thank you, Tracy. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a
I
second?
second.
All right, for the record, Rich beat Dustin to that second. Thanks, Dustin. Any further discussion? Any questions? Susan, last chance to back out? No? Good, all
And
right.
then,
All right, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Those committee members appointed. That concludes all of our new business, takes us to staff informatives. Anything we need informed on? No? How about other matters?
Before we leave, I just want to extend thanks on behalf of council and certainly myself to Sharon Myers, who has graciously facilitated and assisted us in this interim period between Jen's departure and Katie Amberg's start tomorrow. So I did want to say thank you publicly for all the work that you did. Above and beyond, it's greatly appreciated. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sharon. And thank you, Adam, for remembering to note that on our behalf. It was a very smooth meeting. Was it smooth? All right. Nothing left except to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, thank you. We're adjourned.